What's up, people? Welcome, FDLers. I am Darren Shervitz. I am your commissioner and the co-host of the first ever FDL end of season live streaming video event brought to you by COVID-19. If you don't already have it, you'll probably get it. And I am joined today by two very important people. Basically co-commissioners, if you want to be honest. They are my co-hosts, Fred Pila.
What's up, FDL? Happy to be here. Touched that I am a co-commissioner now.
Well, let's not go crazy. It's like a special COVID designation. All right, and then we also have, of course, the original JC. Jay sitting there. What's up, baby?
What's up, fellas?
How's it going?
I'm excited.
See the shirt I'm wearing?
Nice, the commish shirt.
Respect the commish.
The commish.
And Jay and I are wearing the jerseys that Miles got us. So we wanted to represent.
Hell, dude? I get a measly $5 t-shirt. You guys get like fucking real NFL jerseys.
If you had a real NFL team that you actually follow, you get a jersey. That doesn't count, dude.
Bandwagon teams don't count.
Well, champions. No, I am a bandwagon fan, no doubt about it. What? We're hearing echo. This sucks. I don't know where it's from.
Is it gone now?
What's that?
Is it gone now?
Maybe Jay, these headphones? I don't know. I remember this last time. Oh, let me put this back closer.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah, that's much better.
Is that better?
Yeah.
That's much better.
Okay. Sorry. I'm hearing it reverb in my headphones, but I'll just deal with it. So we should be outside right now playing. This should be our season finale for the FDL. We would normally be yelling at each other about some sort of catch or near touchdown. And then in about an hour, the kid would come on, pick us off the field, and we go to Amity Hall. And I'm taking it off because I don't know. This is really about me. But I don't think I'm going to be able to hear you.
And eat and drink.
If I don't have them on. See, I don't hear you. So let me think what I can do here. Sorry, guys, for technical difficulty. This doesn't usually happen when I'm doing that, so I don't know what the issue is. Let's see if it works. Let's see if that's any better. It's not really. A little better, but okay. So no better.
Do one on, one off.
I don't think it has to do with the headphones.
What's that?
I don't think it has to do with the mic.
I don't know what it is. This has never happened to me before, where I'm hearing my own voice come right back to me.
Do you have us on delay?
No, there's no delay. We are live, by the way.
As everybody can tell.
Look, Ryan says it sounds like I have
two mics, Darren.
Two
Oh, did you shut your computer mic off?
I mean, it shouldn't. It should only be one mic, but let me.
A special shout out to the Walrus Boys and Ryan for showing up.
Nice. How do you see that?
Go to live comments on the right.
Okay. Nope. Still hearing. Okay. You know what? This is saying I should try restarting my browser. So I don't know if that's going to work. So again, sorry for the technical difficulties, everyone. Gary's already complaining about the teams. I'm going to quickly reset my browser. I don't know what's going to happen here. if you're going to be kicked off or what the deal is. But Miles is saying he only started hearing it when you came on. You missed the whole introduction? What the fuck, man? All right. Sorry.
We're gonna redo this at 11:30. We'll be right back.
We should just basically restart.
Well, Gary says he can hear all three of us.
Yeah, Gary can hear all three of us. Miles is listening, but he said he only. Can you not hear me, Miles? Or are you also hearing it like I have two microphones?
I hear you perfect.
No, there's a little bit of a reverb.
Oh, he heard the echo when you came on. So
Hold on, let me
Fred,
shut
it's
my mic
probably
off.
you. Well, no, you can't turn your mic off. No, I still hear you.
I'm
Oh.
talking now.
All right. You know what?
Do it.
Let's just do it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna suffer through it. You gotta be professional and deal with the difficulties. Okay. So anyway, we should be having our last game of the season, but obviously because of recent events, we had to cancel the season. Now, I actually was out there. I was checking the emails that I sent out previously, and I predicted a quarantine several weeks ago. I thought I was joking, but here we are. How are you guys handling yourselves? How are you guys managing in this difficult time right now, Fred?
Well, I'm still working, so I mean,
You're essential.
I am a very essential person in this city.
I am so unessential, it's ridiculous. But
So much has not changed for me, other than weekends and afternoons stuck in the house and not moving unless I'm walking the dog, which was basically what I did anyway. Missing the FDL is the biggest part.
yeah, it's been sad. Weekends have been so sad. But remind everyone what you do, why you're so essential. Fred.
I'm an elevator mechanic. I fix elevators. I was
right.
reading something. Sorry.
Oh, that's right. So elevators have to continue to go up and down. People still get stuck in elevators.
Yeah.
And by the way, that is, I mean, how are you 6 feet away in an elevator? That's a tough.
I wear a mask and gloves everywhere I go. I'm like Bane from the Batman movie.
Yeah, I've seen
I
pictures.
just walk around like this all day long. My nose hurts at the end of the day. It's
Are you
crazy.
in hospitals repairing?
Yeah, I've been working in Montefiore Hospital. I've worked in New York Presbyterian Hospital. I can tell you stories, but you don't want to hear them right now. Let's make this fun.
We want to keep them uplifting.
I want to start with Darren telling everybody that's on here just a little bit about the history, or a lot about the history of the FDL, how it sort of came to be, and what it's become.
Okay, so Jay, it's a good way to start off because the FDL does have a long and storied history. It began as a league of basically family and friends, and Gary's watching. I can tell from the comments. Okay, someone, by the way, Alexi, who's a technical whiz, has commented that someone definitely has their one mic and computer mic on.
It's got to be me.
I don't know because
I turned the other computer off.
Okay, anyway, we'll figure it out. I mean, I'm sorry for the reverb. That kind of sucks. But in terms of the History League, like I said, we started this. I guess Gary was probably playing in the park before I even moved to New York with folks. I know that we had a couple famous players who would occasionally play. I think what's the guy who plays Trump? Alec Baldwin. Has played touch football with Gary. And then, I think at some point back in the early 2000s when I came to New York, we tried to, I came here in 99, but I think in like 2000, 2001, we started to try and make the weekend games more regular. And Gary's been playing, as he says in the commentary, since 1986 in Central Park. So we know how old he is. So Gary, stay safe, man. You're in the age zone, man, of COVID. No, not quite. But in any case, so that's how the league started, and then at some point, Ari, my cousin, who some of you may know, I consider him kind of a co-founder of the league. We started to try and make this a more regular thing, sending out emails, seeing what kind of response we would get. But most of the games were 3-on-3, 4-on-4, and then at some point, I ramped it up. We expanded the game, added more friends and more people, and it became a really regular thing. We started playing in Riverside Park because Central Park, they kicked us out. Became a more official thing. We played in Riverside Park, then we moved to Morningside Park, and then eventually one of the most glorious moments in FDL history is when we got a official permit. Someone, I don't remember the story, it's no one who's affiliated with the league anymore, knew someone in Bloomberg's office, and we were able to snag a permit, which is actually really tough to get, especially on Sunday mornings. So the good news is once you get the permit, you're basically good to go for renewals year in, year out. So we've been at now Booker T. Washington, I think, for about 10 or 12 years, maybe more. Do you guys know how long we've been at Booker T?
None.
Anyone who's watching?
So Darren, when did the keeping the stats and all that start?
The stats. So that was a controversial moment in FDL history for sure, because I just thought it'd be fun to start keeping track of. We started with wins and losses because I thought I was winning a lot. I wanted to prove to the league how good of a quarterback I was, and so we started keeping wins, losses. I think that was it's in the spreadsheet. If no one's ever seen the spreadsheet, you should definitely go and check out the spreadsheet. It's on Google Drive. I wonder if I could post a link here. Let's see if I can do that. Let's see if this works. Okay, well, I don't know if that worked, but that's the link to the FDL stat sheet. It has stats going back, again, from that first year, which was, does anyone have it?
Yeah, 2004, 2005.
I'm looking 2005, 2006, but good try, Jay. You're close. And that's just win-losses for that year. And then the next year is when I decided to kick it up a notch and start recording more stats. And like I said, it was a moment of controversy. Ari, the co-founder, my cousin, Gary's nephew that I mentioned earlier, he was against it. He thought people would become stat hungry, and
he wasn't wrong.
He wasn't wrong. He definitely wasn't wrong. We came to an agreement with Ari that basically I wouldn't record his stats except for win-losses, but I would record everyone else's. I did record them, I just didn't put them on the spreadsheet. But so ever since then, we've kept stats, and it's pretty cool. You can go on that spreadsheet and look back way back when at everyone's win-loss records, how many touchdowns they've. Well, actually, in terms of historical, you may or may not be able to see all your stats. First of all, you have to qualify by playing a certain number of games, etc. But so we've done that. So what do you guys think of the stats? You guys like them?
I love it. I mean, it's definitely a big part of coming back every year, and it's, when you're losing, at least like I can get a touchdown and add to my stats. Keeps you.
I think that your stats being, and I know we talked about it yet, but your recaps were the differentiator between any other pickup football league that exists on the planet, the one that started.
You're soft, Jay. You're a little soft, Jay. I don't know.
I'm always a little soft here.
I know. You are soft.
No problem.
No, so you were talking about the recaps.
Yeah, I think the recaps and the fact that you keep that's a differentiator. I think it's the reason why so many guys become so interested in wanting to get back over and over again. It's a little bit of a sense of I guess, pros skill and think on a regular basis that they're more important than they really are. That there are people following each other, or tracking each other's successes and failures, talking about successes and failures, and then the recap would put it in such beautiful summation, and you were so creative with the recaps.
Yeah. I don't even know if you were involved when I really was creative with my recaps. For a long time, before you were involved, I would basically create a theme for each game, a larger theme to kind of coalesce my recap story around. Like I remember one game in particular, it was a great blizzard. I think it might have been 2007 or one year where we just had this huge blizzard, and to the last minute, I wasn't sure about whether we would have a game or not. I was like can people get out? This was when we were playing in Morningside Park. Can people find a way to get there? Should I call it off? I was really having a tough time. And eventually I just said, you know what? I'm going. We'll see who shows up. And they were like, we had, I think 12 guys that day who like you couldn't even see them till they got to the field. Like they were this. It was a a mess of blizzard, and then all of a sudden people
Philadelphia
would show
fog
up.
game.
Yeah, it was a beautiful game. It was one of the most memorable games because it was atrocious weather, and people showed up, and we played a fun tackle game. Those were the days where if it snowed a lot, we still played tackle, and it was awesome. And I remember writing the recap after that, just talking about how brave and bold everyone was to show up that day, and it was pretty cool. So, but you've obviously taken over the recap duties, which I am so thankful for, because not only are they entertaining and thorough and informative and heartfelt and really really long, they I know they're a lot of work. So
they're a ton of work. Brett is mentioning in the live comments that he doesn't want us to forget about orange recaps, which he thinks are the best.
That is.
I don't know if I ever read an Oren recap.
Oh, Oren recaps were awesome.
I mean, crush people. I think
he was hilarious. I mean, he is like a really funny guy. Like, and yeah, no,
the whole family's funny. If you saw that video of his wife out in the street dancing to Michael Jackson on Facebook the other day,
no,
the whole family's funny. Oh, check that out. That's great.
All right, I will. No, Oren. And where did Oren go? Speaking of one of the disappointing developments of the season, last year he retired, and then this year he decided to come back. He missed it, but like halfway through the season, he like
disappeared again.
He kept talking about how he wasn't happy with his quarterbacking play, and he was looking for another reason to not come back. He said that a couple of times on the field, so I think he used his quarterback play as a reason to just give it a cancel and leave again. But it would be great to have him back. His quarterback play was just as good as everybody else's.
Yeah, his quarterback play wasn't noticeable. I think the year before, it did like get noticeable.
Well, the year before he retired.
Yeah, because he was like MVP, I think.
3 years ago.
Was it 3 years ago? And then and that was like the beginning of the end. It was like his last moment. But he's totally fine. And if in the context of our quarterback play, are people seeing these comments? Because if you're watching, I guess they are, because they're responding to them. They're supposed to be coming on the screen. I don't know if they are coming on the screen, but
I see them over here on the live comments.
Right. But I'm not able to respond back. I don't see any place where I can actually write.
No, you don't have a post a comment on your page?
No, we don't have it. You probably have it because you're the head.
Oh, because you guys are guests? Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all right. Well, that was a weird, interesting history. One last question with regard to the FDL history. Is the league better now, or was it better back?
Is the league better now? Okay, so that's a great segue, because this year, I believe this year was perhaps the best season in FDL history. It really was. And that is due for a bunch of reasons. But I think we've had incredible attendance all year. Almost every year.
The attendance has been fantastic.
It's been fantastic. And we've had, in past years, we've had to cancel games for lack of attendance many times, either weather-related or travel-related or injury-related.
Oh, the weather was great, too.
Oh, the weather was great this year. The teams, I have to give credit to you guys. This is a big moment. By the way, I'm still wearing my...
Here he comes.
What's that? Oh, the teams have sucked, though. I like seeing the teams have sucked. No, the teams were awesome, man. I mean, everyone's complaining about them, of course, but I don't... If you look back, I don't know if you guys did this any pre-prep, but I
a little bit today, actually.
Okay, well, I bet you the score differential in this year's games were the closest it's ever been, and not even by. I mean, you could never know because
2 ties, 1 blowout. That's it.
There was one game that was 9-4. My freak out was 9-4 in the game.
Wait, your what game? Your freak out game?
My shoe off and fell on my ass in the end zone.
When he kicked his shoe off in the end zone and went absolutely nuts.
Yeah, I remember that moment.
That lost him Gentleman of the Year.
that was the 9-4 blowout. But otherwise, all the scores were within 1 or 2 scores. I have most of them written down as I was doing my research.
Abraham's saying we had to cancel a game.
We did one game. I couldn't get the 10th guy.
Oh, yeah.
Because some new guy canceled.
Yeah.
Last minute.
The 23rd was canceled with perfect weather because there were only 9 players.
But I wasn't there. Let's be real. That was the problem. That's
my fault.
But in any case, the team building. You guys want to talk about that very briefly and shut people up for once and for good about how you guys did the process and why all the games were so competitive and that everyone should just shut up before the game and let you guys do it next year.
When we get the list of players.
By the way, Fred and Derek, just so you know this, we weren't sure about this. Fred and I were responsible for dividing teams from the very beginning. I wouldn't have to look at who created
I thought so.
Yeah.
I thought it was from the very because we were wondering. One of the questions I had going over this was if you look at Fred and Jay's win-loss records, they both suck. So I don't know how that happens if they're both captains every week. So I was trying to figure out how they both have bad win-loss records. It's amazing to me. And they thought maybe they didn't start the year picking teams, but they apparently did. Now some weeks they put themselves on the same team, which obviously they must have lost those weeks because that made no sense.
We lost both games that we played together.
What's that?
We lost 2 games that we decided before the game to play together. And the one game that we ended up victorious, which we'll also talk about, was Fred's MVP week in the rain, where he wore the poncho and picked off 2 late passes.
The poncho game.
The victory for Team Zimmer. But he started on Team Pillow, which obviously was a losing team, and I'm not sure how you dealt with that in terms of the stats.
Yeah.
But he won and lost.
Well, what I usually do is so he lost at the end, but he was on the winning team in the beginning, you mean?
No.
No, I won at the end. I was on the losing team in the beginning.
I usually give you the win when that happens. If you change teams and your new team you started losing and when you change you then win, I give you the win. I give you what difference when you started to score versus when the end score was.
And the reason why he was forced to switch teams was that was the game that Gary got heated and was worried about.
Okay, hold on. Gary is now yelling in the comments. Your audio sucks, Jay. And
sit closer to your computer.
You got to sit closer.
Okay. Is that better?
I don't know. Let's see if that.
I don't know.
I mean, is that any better? Aside from looking at a more handsome face closer up.
Do you have headphones, Jay? Do you have headphones?
I have the Apple iPhone.
Plug them in. They might work better.
Okay.
And while he's doing that, I'll tell you.
Okay, yeah.
I would get the list of players on a Friday from Darren, and the most important thing for me was to always make sure that each team had the defensive backfield to cover the other team's best 3 players. So, if one team had Lewis, I always made sure that they had the players that could cover Lewis and the 2 other best receivers on the team.
Who are those players? I don't think we've yet
that
to
was
find.
That was always the hardest part, trying to match a team up against Lewis. That's why Lewis never played on the same team with Nigel, because if they were on like the 5-yard line, you give that much space to Lewis, he can just throw it up and his arm could reach, and it was done.
I think that's an insult to me, so I'm going to let that go.
I'm not. Listen, your arm, my arm. The only other arm that matches up to Nigel's right now is Miles. Miles can throw the ball a mile. We're not exactly throwing the ball on a line drive down the field, 3/4 of the way down the field. It's not happening.
Yeah, no, that I mean, I agree with you. Nigel is the best arm for sure.
So that was always the first thing that I looked at to make sure each team had that. And then it was splitting up quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And then after that was splitting up defensive line, which this year became so difficult. If Ryan or Abraham weren't there, or just one of them was there, it was very difficult. A lot of times I had to put Mushi as a corner to help out with Lewis on the team if there weren't other guys that could keep up with him. So it was difficult all the way through. And my favorite part is always when I send it to Jay.
Every week
every week I would make the teams. I would send it to say, "What do you think?" And the email back would be, "These are horrible. They're the worst teams ever." And I say, "Okay, what should we change?" And you go, "Maybe this guy for this guy." Okay, what else? That's it.
He'd give you like one suggestion.
One suggestion. That was it. He was always right. He was always right.
Okay, all right. So you guys work together to create a great team. So look at this, by the way. We have watching the show Jeff Kraft.
Yeah, I was going to ask, who's Jeff Kraft?
You guys don't know Jeff Kraft, but Jeff Kraft is he's not an original FDLer. I could look what generation he came into.
Gen 2?
By the way, that is also, second generation. So his first year was 2006, 2007. Now his overall winning percentage, his last game came in 2009, 2010. So he played 4 years in the league, but that last season he only played 2 games. He's 16-11 and 3 ties, 583 winning percentage. Don't know if you knew that, Jeff, but he was MVP in the 2008-2009 season, and then he was most missed in the season when he only played 2 games. We used to have that as a category, most missed. We don't do that anymore, I don't think, because I expect everyone to stay forever. But basically, Jeff Kraft, we still talk about him. I'm surprised you don't know the name, Jeff. I mean, Jay, because we talk about Jeff as possibly being the best player ever.
I've heard you guys mention him. You never mentioned the last name. It was always, Jeff was great. Jeff was such a great player. If we had Jeff. Yeah. But it was never.
Lewis?
What's that?
With Jeff Lewis?
Jeff would cover Lewis. I mean, now Jeff's older. I mean, you know.
Bye, Jeff.
I'm gonna add Jay. Okay, Jay. Let's see if this is any better.
Is that better?
Except you're sideways.
He's not sideways.
On mine, he is.
He is? Is he sideways, guys? On the comments. So Jeff now lives, by the way, in Pittsburgh, I believe. At least that's when I remember him last living. And he's been back. Let me see. Oh, he is sideways. Is he sideways? Alexi says he's not sideways. He's not sideways to me. So I'm going
Ryan says not sideways.
I'm the only one that's got a sideways Jay.
All right, sideways Jay is.
Well, is my mic at least better?
Yes.
Is what?
Your mic is much better.
Your mic is better. I'm hearing feedback, but if no one else is hearing it, I'm now used to it. I'm comfortable with it.
I want to make sure the audience is happy. I don't care about you.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. It's never about the host. Okay, so that's Jeff, by the way, one of the best players. I would love to see him go up against. I would love to see peak Jeff go up against peak Lewis. Lewis is stronger.
Have we hit peak Lewis yet?
I hope to God we've hit peak Lewis. I really hoped when Lewis got married that we were going to see Lewis next year. You know, he'd still be super strong, but maybe a little bit of a pouch. You know, like we'll start. But then
we gotta hope he has a lot of kids soon.
He needs kids,
yeah,
and he needs more hobbies. I don't know. I don't know what is going to get Lewis to come down to our level.
Lewis is doing burpees right now.
He is. He's not watching this. He's like, fuck that. I'm at the gym. Lewis is unbelievable. Like I said, we're going to talk about the Lewis situation at some point this we're keeping this everything positive because it's been such a fantastic season, and I think ultimately that whole experience ended up being a positive for the league. That's my own personal opinion, but we'll discuss it because it was a meaningful storyline in the season. But yeah, welcome, Jeff. Thanks for watching. Come back. One game. We'll see how things have evolved. How old are you now, Jeff? Remind me. Alexi is saying, by the way, Lewis would have to be 95. He might have already left. Jeff was like, okay, I heard by mention. I'm out. Oh, he's 42. Look at that, 40. And are you still in Pittsburgh? Let's see.
He hasn't responded.
Yeah, no, he'll respond soon enough. But he does sometimes. Yeah, he's still in Pittsburgh, but he sometimes worked in the city. Does consulting work, if I remember correctly. So he's played basketball since he's left. We used to also have a basketball game on Tuesday nights, but and he's also was awesome in basketball. So just a great athlete. Would have been fun to see him nowadays. But the original question was the FDL better then or now? And like I said, it was special then because it was a lot. I had family. You know, my brother played, my cousin Ari played. You know, it was a special thing back then. But
shout out to the Chad.
Shout out to the Chad, the new namesake for our Gentleman of the Year. You guys,
I'm going to dig into the stats a little bit on this Jeff Kraft guy. What years did Jeff play?
He started in 2006, 2007, and he played basically for 3 years. He played a little bit the fourth year, but just 2 games that year. He played 3 years.
Ari's never coming back to play, Chris. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think when Ari leaves, he leaves, man.
Oh, that's for sure.
We won't get into that. Okay, but what was next on the agenda, guys? We talked about. Oh, so the reason why this year in particular was so good is
The
because of the
rookies.
rookies. I mean,
Yeah.
that. Where's Ryan, by the way? Ben, I can see waiting in the wings to be brought on to the stream and be brought into this discussion because we're gonna kick off very shortly our discussion of the FDL Awards of the Year, which we do every year, and we're going to discuss the awards this time live on the show. But Ryan needs to get online. Someone got to get a hold of Ryan. Let him know.
Ryan's listening. Ryan, get into the.
Oh, there. Okay. Oh, so he was just waiting patiently. I didn't see any of his comments.
Smart. He's a
Okay.
smart dude.
Ryan, oh, there he is. Ooh, that's some
Very
nice
smart.
artwork
Wait
in
till
the
you hear this
back.
guy interviewed. He's brilliant.
Look at his
Well,
artwork.
let's be honest. The rookie class, you could almost say it saved the FDL after last season and all the games that were missed and the just trying to get people to play and like almost begging every week. Ryan, the Walrus Club,
There was
Chris
Ola.
YG, Ola.
Chris.
I
yeah,
mean,
new Chris.
There's a lot
new
of
better Chris.
new blood, younger blood that has just really turned the league around a little bit. Really made that corner to go for
a year of
10 more
rejuvenation,
years.
A year of
Yep.
which made
rejuvenation.
it more exciting for the older guys to play. I had a
It
lot
did.
more fun this year than I've ever had.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it did make it more exciting for us vets. It's like Tom Brady getting I don't know what kind of he hasn't had good young receivers, but it's been amazing. But the most impressive thing is they are all like literally each and every one of them, and maybe they just need more time in the FDL. But
Without a doubt.
but they're good guys, man.
Yeah.
I mean
They're all up for the Chad.
They are all up
Yeah.
for the chat, no doubt.
This
They
is
are.
not-
They were all
I'm going
gentlemen.
to be unseated for sure.
The hardest award to win, by the way. I don't care what you say. The Chad is the hardest award to win.
To be a gentleman in the FDL, yes.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you're a gentleman in the FDL, you are a true gentleman. Now Jay, by the way,
You're
is
almost dead.
well, Jay's won it 3 years in a row, so I don't know if he'd agree with that assessment. But yeah, no, that's the great thing because sometimes the FDL gets testy and can be a bunch of bitter old men. So it was really nice to see. Is it the Walrus Club? Is it the Walrus Brothers? Is it the Walrus Boys? What do you guys want to be?
I'm going to touch upon that later.
Oh, you are. Okay, all right. So I won't steal Fred's thunder because so that was the rookies. Let's briefly. I mean, we kind of talked about Lewis, but so the other big storyline of the season, the one kind of. I don't even, like I said, I don't consider a blemish, but it was noteworthy, newsworthy, is that Lewis at one point was, there was a mutual decision to part ways for just a few weeks to spend some time off because I think there was an issue about whether Lewis was too
Physical?
It was a
Physical.
physicality. Yeah.
It was a physicality issue, and we knew how impressive of a physical specimen he was, and like I said, I love watching him on the field. I mean, like you said, you usually put him with me as quarterback, which Nigel always complained about, and it is a thrill to have him on your team. I mean, he's obviously helpful in the huddle, and he's very knowledgeable about football, but he's just a
Fred's
special athlete.
eyebrows just raised.
Fred's
when he
eyebrows
said
do
he's
raise. Helpful in the
huddle.
I appreciate the input. I appreciate him. He couldn't help himself. Fred.
that's my
no
poker face.
Yeah, no poker face from Fred.
I got aces.
But Lewis is awesome to watch, man. And like you just have to get in his vicinity and he'd get under there. But it was on defense where I think people had a little bit of trouble because he was a cornerback in college. He played
Actually, I think he was a safety.
safety. Okay, well he played defensive back. And he played it hard, man. And if you went up against him, you were basically shut down. And it wasn't so much that he could cover you like it was nothing, but that he would, cover you very physically on the line, not let you off. Sometimes end the movement by throwing you to the ground.
The thing that really got it started was a couple of times he was jamming a wide receiver, and he would just kind of like toss them like a doll into the backs of defensive linemen who didn't know anybody was coming.
Yeah.
And I saw it happen to Jay once, and like Jay went down like a sack of potatoes. And
That's
point, it was
that's
like,
no feat.
well, at that point, it's like somebody's gonna get hurt. Like people are getting tossed into other people that don't see them coming. Like that's going to happen, but it shouldn't have to happen when somebody has so much control over. Lewis has so much control over that guy. He has so much control over that guy. He's jamming.
Like
Well, my whole thing was, of course, I was concerned that there was a higher potential for injuries when someone's being that physical and is that overmatched. But ultimately, what I was also concerned with were the players that were having to go up against them and not wanting to come back and play.
That
We
was
were on
the
such a
second problem.
roll with attendance and everyone enjoying themselves out there, and for the most part, injury free.
Yeah.
I didn't want to start losing guys like Matt and Miles and Will as a result of Lewis's.
And I was getting worried. Like
Let's be honest.
seen,
Miles never was covered by Lewis. Miles just had an issue with Lewis.
I also seen like guys like Brett, and Brett never complained, and he was always for. But I seen him get knocked on his ass by Lewis right off the line, and it was just I just didn't want to wait for somebody to seriously get hurt before we were like, you can cover anybody easily,
right,
without laying a hand on them. Let's take it down a notch.
That's all it was. It was a matter of trying to take it down a notch, and it is tough for Lewis because Lewis is a go 100% not just in FDL in his life, and that's his attitude, that's his personality, and it's not entirely fair to ask someone to basically change that. And so there was a moment where it just was mutually beneficial for us to step aside and see how things evolve, and I think after a few weeks, he missed it. And there was also some issue about whether he was taking a human growth hormone. This was something he took way back when he tore his Achilles heel to help heal. And I make no judgments on that. I mean, he came back stronger than ever, but he was no longer taking any substances like that. So that, in my mind, was no longer an issue. And so once he showed a willingness to come back and do whatever it took to be part of the league, I was more than happy to have him. Now, it was a little interesting because when he came back, I think he felt a little targeted, a little unsure about
without a doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's the thing. He's the only one on that field can do what he does. I mean, for the rule for Marlowe, the Marlowe rule for the kicking. There are other guys. Matt can kick it over the fence. There are other guys that can do that. Nobody on the field can do what Lewis can do. When Zach plays, he can't do it. When Ola comes, he can't do it. Lewis is a player amongst, all of us. He's a football player. We're a bunch of old guys that are having fun.
Yeah, and to his credit, he came back and maybe he was a little uncertain about how to respond to all of us, or maybe felt a little off put, or kind of figuring out how to act with us. But on the field, he did everything right. I mean, he really did, because he still was Lewis on offense and did everything he was supposed to do, and on defense, he was impressive, even though he wasn't as physical, and he did.
I have no complaints of the Lewis that came back.
Yeah.
We should get into the awards and get Ryan and Ben on here.
Okay, yeah. So we are now more than halfway. We'll go probably a little bit over 12, no big deal. But let's get into.
Wait, don't the kids have to come?
No kids. We're good. I hope my kids maybe. But so every year I send out an FDL award ballot, and we've narrowed it down. We used to have some, like, the worst injury of the year, the most missed player of the year, but we've narrowed it down last several to 4 categories. 1, MVP, self-explanatory, best, most effective player of the year. We have most improved comeback player, which is someone who's had a particularly good year after maybe a bad year the year before. It's clearly stepped up their game. We have
lost a lot of weight.
All right, he's already marketing himself.
Oh yeah, putting that out
there. And we have the Chad, which used to be called the MABA. This was the Gentleman of the Year award that I took away. It used to be called the MABA. MABA was the first winner of the award. If you guys don't know MABA Ba, he is an awesome individual and won. Like I said, he won the first year. We were fighting so much in the FDL. I decided we need a Gentleman of the Year award to try and get people to understand that's part of the game. The whole idea of the FDL is, in my mind, is not just about having an awesome football game, this recreational I always called it recreational goodness by any means necessary, but it was also about having this community. And I think we have it. I really do. And it's important to me to be just more than a touch football game. And some of the fighting was just getting ridiculous. So I created the Gentleman of the Year Award. Maba won the first year. We called it the Maba, which I think is a cool name. But at some point, he totally disappointed us. I forget if it was because he kept not showing up for games. Was that it?
He would RSVP to you and then not show up, and you'd put him on the end of the wait list.
Yeah.
But there was no wait list in those days, so he kept being allowed to come back, but then he would not show up.
It was very disappointing, and I kept warning him, Maba, you do this again, I'm taking away the namesake. So I ended up giving it to my brother, who won the second year of the Gentleman of the Year Award, the Chad. So I think the Chad is another great name. So it's called the Chad. It's the FDL Gentleman of the Year Award for the player who represents the spirit of competition and community the best. Jay has been the winner 3 years running now, so it's time to move on, man. I mean, you saw him this year. This guy is totally becoming.
I'm a total asshole, right?
He's a total asshole now. I mean. Then he came back. By the way, are people reading these comments? I love that we're getting these comments. This is great. But who's?
They have their old side.
Is that Nigel?
I think that's Nigel. Eugene is Nigel.
Eugene is Angwe. I don't know what Angwe is.
Angwe? I'm just.
He's not a gentleman. Yeah. See, Gary. I think Jay and Gary have gotten into it a little bit this year. I don't know. There's a little animosity between you and Gary. There used to be all love about everything.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. He usually loves me. Why? What is he saying?
Oh, Caston. How you doing, Cass?
Caston. Whoa,
we miss you too, Caston.
Is that really Caston, or is that you typing that, Jay?
That's Caston.
Oh, that is so sweet, Caston. We cannot wait till you are 16 and can become an official member of the FDL. I said you are definitely at one point. I'm passing the commissioner baton to one of these two men, I'm sure, at some point. But then not too long after, Caston, I want you to continue. I want FDL. Unfortunately, that's my only legacy. It's really sad, but
Caston, you are faster than all of us. But that's without a doubt.
He's already talking trash. Okay, Caston, come on now, man.
Thanks for pointing that out.
You can cover Lewis. Okay, so what were we talking about? The awards. So let's and then the final award, which we're going to start the discussion with, is the Rookie of the Year. And like I said, it's been a top-notch class of rookies in terms of attendance and abilities and gentlemanness and gentlemanliness. I don't know. And they've just been awesome. And it bodes well for the future of the FDL going forward. And by the way, this year, not only this special announcement, not only do you get the honor of winning awards this year, MVP, the Chad, etc., you all will get a roll of toilet paper.
Yay! I wish I played harder now.
Okay, so anyway, let's start with the Rookie of the Year. So as good of a year for rookies as it's been, there's been two that have stood out to us, and they're the clear top front runners for that award. Not to slight Avraham or Kiva or YG Chris YG.
Ola.
Or Ola. He just didn't play enough. He only played 6 games.
Ola needed to play more. Avraham, just was, let other people steal the thunder except for the line. And Akiva was hurt too much. But in terms of stats and in terms of consistency, it's just not, it's really between two people. And we are lucky enough to have them with us, just waiting patiently to come online and state their case. What we're going to do is I'm going to leave the stream for a little bit. And I'm going to introduce them. First, I'm going to introduce them to the stream as a whole. And then we're going to have Jay and Fred interview separate ones. Fred, who are you interviewing?
I'm interviewing Ben, and Jay's interviewing Ryan.
Okay, we'll start with Ben. But Ryan, that's good for you because usually in these type of things, the last person is always remembered the most. And they always win the competitions. So we're going to have Fred interview Ben, and Jay's going to interview Ryan. But let's just bring them on real quick.
Ooh.
I'm bringing Ben. There's Ben. What's up?
How you doing, Ben?
Ben, what's up?
Welcome, Ben. We can't hear you. Am I muted? Are you muted?
He's muted. I can see his name.
Hey guys, how's it going?
What's up?
Yo, what's up, Benny boy?
Such a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Have you been enjoying it so far? I'm sorry, it's not.
I've been loving it.
Okay, all right, cool. And then we're gonna bring Ryan on. Let's bring Ryan on. Welcome, Ryan Baxter.
Ryan.
What's up, guys?
Hey, what's up, Ryan? That's some
Good to
nice
see all
artwork
of
in the
you.
back.
Hear from all you folks in the chat.
Yeah. Have you been reading the comments?
You to show up in your
Who's
Say that
Look,
again?
he's even got his
Akiva's?
reading glasses on.
yeah.
Ben does have a nice smile. Look, Abraham, really loving your smile. They both have great smiles. They're beautiful people. Oh, Ryan, they didn't know you wear glasses.
True.
Are you contacts during the game, though?
I am. I
Contacts.
can't see.
Yeah, I was expecting Ryan to show up in his coat though.
The red coat. The red coat.
The members only coat.
Yeah, it's iconic.
It's gonna
Ryan,
have to go into the Hall of Fame.
be honest. When did you last smoke?
45 minutes ago.
Okay, all right. Still feeling. He's in.
Oh,
There you go.
45 seconds of casting. Get off the
Yeah,
computer,
Casson,
Casson.
get off the.
He left.
That's a natural herbal.
That's
Okay,
Medicine.
He's got
I
a
don't even
nice
know what
art piece
to
of artwork. Who's is that? Someone famous, or is that just like a IKEA thing in the
I
back?
painted those actually.
You paint? Oh, look at this guy! Is a fucking renaissance.
Wow.
Look, he's already
Ben,
winning.
you
He's
better
winning
step
this,
it up,
Ben.
bro.
Where's your artwork, Ben?
Ben, did you put that air conditioner in the window behind you?
Absolutely, I did.
What is that behind? Is that your bed? Is that your
Yeah, bed air.
That's where all the magic happens.
So hard on this.
bed? Nothing on the walls. There's plenty. I mean,
Ben,
like,
you're gonna need a girl in that bed to win now.
No comments. No
Look, so
comments.
Ryan, so you paint. You're
I
obviously
did
a
it
strong
long
athlete. What, I'm gonna let Fred. So I'm gonna take everyone off, but Fred and Ryan.
No,
Right?
Fred and Ben.
Oh, Fred and Ben. Ben, your last name Baruch, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because I didn't introduce you fully.
That's
I was
hard,
excited
Illinois.
as I introduced Ryan. What's that?
I said Atard, Illinois. Forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't steal. Come on, man.
Okay.
Leave that to me.
I'm taking everyone off, but Fred and Ben, you have like 5 minutes. Make it happen, and then I'll come
Yeah.
back on, and we'll get Jay and Ryan. Okay, ready? Ryan, goodbye. See you soon. Jay, goodbye. See you soon. Me, goodbye. See you soon. Good luck.
All right. So Ben, welcome. Good to have you here.
Thank you so much.
So I asked you a couple of questions earlier, and it turns out that I didn't know this. I don't know if anybody else knew this. You were a safety and wide receiver in high school.
Yes, I was.
So
Yeah.
that starts to explain a little bit more. I wish you would have told us that a little bit earlier, because that would have been good to know. We wouldn't have had you on the line.
It's all about those football smarts that I gained when I was a kid.
Oh, without a doubt. So you were athletic growing up, Rochester, New York, of course. You know,
Absolutely.
Bills fan. So when you came into the league, first week, did you have an idea that you were going to be, something special in the league? Did you have a feeling you were going to step it up and be one of the top guys?
Absolutely not. I mean, I came into the league. It's kind of hard to establish yourself as somebody that they're going to be able to throw to pretty consistently. And then I just remember the first week I dropped like 3 or 4 passes, and it had to be the nerves or something. But I just remember wanting to play safety a lot, but of course there are other people with more experience there. So, you play defensive line, you play cornerback, you get burned a couple times, but you work
Back
your
on
way
the
up.
D-line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the feeling. So you are more comfortable at safety than you are at corner, at
Yeah,
least
definitely.
now. Okay.
Yeah, I feel much more comfortable reading the quarterback's eyes and trying to follow where he is, as opposed to following a specific player. Who, I'm by no means the fastest player out there, so they can usually burn me.
So you and Nigel have a thing where when he's quarterbacking and you're at safety, tends to end up in an interception. Do you have any idea how many interceptions you had off of him this year? Like, was that something?
I think it was at least 9. And it was, I think most of them were in the first 5 weeks of playing. The first real week I got to play at safety, I had 2 red zone interceptions against him. He looked me in the eyes after the game. He was like, I just want to play with you instead of against you. Let's go.
That's fantastic. That's absolutely fantastic. So, meat shields. I just need you to explain meat shields, because we all know what they are now, but where did that come from?
So my father is a butcher, and I grew up working in his shop. So one of my nicknames in high school was Butcher Hands. And then I guess like growing up, then just having these beefy hands, people just took to him being called Meat Shields.
So, the Walrus Brothers or Walrus Crew, what is it? Let's get that straight now.
Yeah, so originally started out as Walrus Brothers, Walrus Club, and then I guess it's kind of shifted to anything Walrus. We just love them.
You love the Walruses. Are you guys all gonna get a Walrus tattoo somewhere on your person?
If these guys did it with me, shout out to the Walrus Bros. If you guys want to get a tattoo, let's do it.
I'm almost willing to pay for all three. Okay, so your numbers are great. You have like 20 touchdowns. You have, I think, 19 interceptions. Quietly, you've become like a force in the league. It was very hard to put you on teams at the end. I think you should get a chance to plead your case of why Rookie of the Year should be yours. What obstacles were in your way early, and how you fought through them?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like at the beginning it was mostly a mental game and just trying to break into the league in general and gain that sense of trust with whoever's playing quarterback. And, the first couple of weeks, you're never going to be playing quarterback with the same person. So it's hard to develop some sort of relationship there from wide receiver to quarterback. And then you start to pick it up. And then on the defensive side, one thing I just have to say is that sacks are great, but we're talking turnovers here, right? We want more possessions as the game go on. We want those interceptions.
This is true. This is very true. So I've seen you throw the ball before the game. Just before we go, maybe trying a little quarterback next year. Is that the plan?
Yeah, maybe. It might be the move.
All right. Ben, thanks for coming on with us. Good luck in the Rookie of the Year. And I got to say, you're also in the MVP race. So great year by you, bud.
Hey,
thank you very much,
Fred, Ben. Well done, people. That was an excellent job. Great prep, great work, Ben. Although being quarterback next year, you couldn't lose my vote. So now
he already lost Gary's. I know.
By the way, do you see? Lewis is listening, and he. This is.
Oh my God, he's so huge.
He is so big. This motherfucker. And by the way, he says. Because at one point you said he's probably doing burpees right now. He says push-ups, not burpees.
I hate burpees.
Yeah, burpees are the worst. But anyways, welcome, Lewis. I hope you.
Thanks, Lewis, for following. Can't wait to see you out there next year.
Yeah, so
hopefully, you drink a little bit more beer and eat a little bit more food and get out of the friggin' gym.
Have fun this offseason. With COVID, I mean, he can't go to a gym. Maybe, but he's probably just doing everything outside.
They gave him the key to the gym, and he's the only one that goes.
There you go.
But Ben, well done, guys. And so now let's bring Jay and Ryan back in.
Oh, and let's not forget Ben did have 2 fumble recoveries this year.
Yeah, let's get the.
So what were his stats before we? Because
he had 20 touchdowns, 18 interceptions, 2.5 sacks, wow. 3 defensive touchdowns. He threw an interception. He had 2 MVPs. Yeah. He was 8-11-2, and he had 1 fumble recovery.
8-11-2. That may be something Jay wants to bring up in terms of.
I think it is. 2 fumble. Okay, there's only 1 on the stat sheet.
You had 2 fumble recoveries?
Yeah, unbelievable. 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
I'll have to change the mistakes can happen. All right. Anyway, so okay.
Changing the men's stats as necessary.
What's that?
Changing the men's stats is necessary.
Yeah.
We're going to take everyone off, and we're going to leave it to Jay and Ryan. Make your case, okay?
Go for it.
I hope you were as well prepared as Fred was, Jay. You got...
I'm never as well prepared as Fred is. Ryan, what's up, bud?
How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, man. It's good to see you again. I wish we were out playing football.
Me too. It's rough times out here.
Well, we're fortunate to have our health at least, right?
Amen.
I assume you're feeling healthy?
Getting fat, but yeah. So far, so good.
Well, I want the rest of the league to get to know the guy that I had an opportunity to get to know. First of all, let everybody know where you grew up. You're a Manhattan guy, right?
Manhattan.
Right. And you went to school at Hunter?
I did.
And when did you start Hunter?
94.
No, but were you a kindergarten Hunter kid, or did you start in high school?
Pre-K.
Pre-K Hunter.
Yeah. Man.
So you're no joke. You're a scholar athlete.
That's kind of you to say.
You had to test in, right?
I did, but
We
in
thought
fairness,
Caston was a genius until we saw his scores. So you grew up in Midtown Manhattan. You had an older brother, correct?
I do.
Do you have any other siblings?
Just the two of us.
Just the two of you. And you progressed and went to school at Hunter. And does Hunter have any like athletic programs or anything that you got involved with, and at what age?
Yeah, so I started with soccer as a little kid. Was the captain of the JV basketball team. Didn't make the varsity team my senior year, and so I started the school's wrestling team.
So you've got wrestling and basketball in your background.
Yeah,
Any organized football?
never. Played a lot of pickup though.
Yeah.
The
And how much of
reason,
your
the reason I started wrestling was because my school wouldn't start a football team.
Okay. How much of that wrestling of yours do you think translated to the football field and what you were able to accomplish this year?
A big part of it on the line came through. So much of wrestling is hand fighting into angles, and rather than thinking about it from a perspective of shooting to take someone down, shooting to get past someone to enable sacks and add pressure to the QB, I think definitely came through quite regularly over the season.
Yeah. And when Fred and I sort of tried to size you up just on physical presence, we assumed you'd be playing a lot of offensive and defensive line. But what most people don't realize is that you had 17 receiving touchdowns. And I know you're proud of that. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I love this league. You guys are all great, a lot of fun, and you really encouraged me to take athleticism more seriously. I do. I feel bad for Caston, but I would, Darren. I really felt like I could give it my all, and so over the course of the season, I ended up losing 15 pounds, which made it much easier for me to resume some of my past life speed. I ran track in college in addition to wrestling, and once I get a bit lighter, I think you'll all be surprised by peak Ryan.
So there was some concern, at least from Fred's perspective, that you were going to obliterate his season-leading sack totals from a few years ago. I believe he led the league and set the record at 30. You finished with 29. Are you disappointed in yourself, or where do you? Yeah.
It would be easy to say we didn't finish the season, but I got to own that. I had ample opportunity to break that record, and I did not. I got lots of love for Ben. I think he is easily a more consistent player. He's easily the smarter player. I enjoyed playing with him when I was playing with him. I enjoyed playing with him when I was playing against him. And I give him credit for all of those interceptions. But at the end of the day, interceptions are made easier when there's pressure on the QB. And that's why sacks are so important.
Well, now I kind of wish that I had some way to determine how many times you and Ben played together and how many of those interceptions. Right, not enough. Okay. So then maybe it wasn't your line play that led to those interceptions. But it's an interesting,
that's a very interesting theory. That's a very important point. You can't knock 18 interceptions, leading the league in interceptions. I will point out that there are at least two players who could have surpassed 18 interceptions and perhaps taken that top spot from Ben had the season finished. Whereas if you look at what I lead the league in, sacks, I have more sacks than second and third place combined.
That's a very
and so
good point.
The level of impact in our respective leading line items to me aren't comparable.
Yeah, and I was going to say, when looking at it each and every week, and Fred and I would discuss where to put you. Not that Ben isn't a game changer with his ability and his knack for intercepting passes and his great hands, but your physical presence was something that had to be contended with on, each and every week. So you brought a different skill set, that was for sure, and you literally dominated the offensive and defensive line. I'm sure that you probably gave up very few sacks, if any at all, which is also really goes unspoken. The offensive line work that you and Avraham were able to do all year. So give yourself a pat on the back for that. But just before we leave, I just want to make sure you tell the story about you had a couple of bad weeks in a row, and I think Darren called you out, and you came back and had your best game of the season. And I'll remind everybody of what those stats were as soon as you tell us that story, and we can wrap this little interview up.
Sure. Again, I have to own that I didn't play as consistently as I should have, as I could have. And on a number of occasions, I let our fine QBs down, dropping beautiful balls, easy TDs, costing us games in some instances. On one particular such instance, after several weeks of such performance, Darren and Fred had had enough. They walked up to me after the game and they're like, "What's going on, Ryan? Your routes seem tired. Your rushing seems lazy. Are you smoking too much weed? Maybe you should stop. Just see what happens, so you won't seem so lazy on the field." I was affected, to say the least. I was a bit angry, in fact, that could be a fair description of my play. And so the next game back, save you the trouble, had 5 sacks, 1 TD. And I'm so glad we got some of the history we got to kick things off here, because hearing why stats are important to the FDL really grounds why I think this is such an easy vote. Again, all credit to Ben, more reliable, consistent player than me this year. But at the end of the day, I have more wins than he does. I have the second most wins in the league. And so we can bicker about stats.
I almost thought that you were just being so humble to give yourself an edge in Gentleman of the Year votes. But that's okay. Keep going, because I agree. Yeah. You were on the winning team more often than Ben.
Exactly. And I think we should take that into account here as well, seeing as we had near comparable TDs and each league a different stat.
Well, Ryan, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your arguments and your discussion. You're a class act. I love playing with you. I love playing against you. Great guy.
Thank you, sir.
Well done. Well done. What did I do? Well done, Jay. Well done, Ryan.
Way to go, Rye. I gotta tell you, it's a tough vote.
It is going to be a tough vote, and tomorrow I'm going to send out the ballot and let everyone who's watching decide. Yeah, this is kind of an interesting set. This is different than it looked before, right? Look, I got this is pretty cool, right? I've noticed during this interview that I could click people's comments and put them on the screen, which is pretty awesome. I wish I had been doing this the whole time, because they had been making some funny comments and I didn't know what the hell to do. Look who showed up late. Look who showed up late. There he is.
What else is new?
Nice. T.
Most winning player in the league.
What's that?
He's the most winning player in the league.
In what league are you talking about? T?
Yeah,
this season? I think he has more wins than anyone.
No, Akiva and Lewis, I think, lead the league, and I'd be remiss not to mention Gary, who I hope is still watching. He's
Get
also
closer,
has
and
a winning record.
your mic sucks. What?
Mine?
Gary does have a winning record this year.
Gary is 7-4-1, and if you were to adjust for age, he may be one of our top players and in the MVP race.
age-adjusted awards should be a thing in the FDL.
If you adjust for talent, I could be too.
Weight loss, if you adjust for weight loss. Okay, so that's the rookie of the year discussion. I don't think we can have time to discuss all the different awards, but I think we do have to. We should probably end it with a discussion on MVP.
Well, we can let these guys go.
Oh yeah, we can let Ben and Ryan go. Thank you
Thanks,
for joining
fellas.
us.
See you guys.
Can't wait to next year. We'll get together sometime when all this craziness ends, and we'll have a little celebration at a bar. On me, Gary helps, and we'll make that happen. And but it's going to be a long off season. Hopefully, Booker T will be available for us because I know they were supposed to start work on that. If that's not around, I don't know what's going to happen. But the FDL will go on. We'll find a way to get together and make our Sunday mornings special again. So stay safe, stay sane, and I'll see you guys around. Okay.
Thank you for your leadership.
All right, hey, man.
Thanks, guys.
Great year, both of you.
Yeah,
Guys.
Ryan. Thanks, Ben.
Bye.
See you later, guys.
All right. I just want to keep this T comment up forever because that picture, man, is sweet.
Yeah, I mean,
is that
good-looking dude right there.
That must be his like a.
Those are
what do you call it?
seductive eyes.
That's
What do you call it when you're an actor?
Headshot.
Headshot.
It's his headshot.
Thank you. But I'm going to take him off now. Let's see if we got a comment to show here. Let's see what. Oh, here's Deutsch Photography. Now, see, this is Brett. If I were stronger and faster and quicker, I'd be the best player out there, which is a funny line, and true. But now T has this beautiful picture. I'm assuming maybe Brett took that picture from T. But now you look at Brett's picture here. I don't even know what the hell that is. If you're a photographer, shouldn't you have a better picture representing your brand? Can you tell what that is?
13, 14, 15, 16. We had 16. We had 16 players this year win
Jay's
MVP
not even listening.
award.
Yeah, we had 16 players win weekly MVP.
16 different players, and Brett was not one of them.
Well, he's saying he needs to be stronger, faster, and quicker.
Oh, it hurts. It hurts when it comes from Jay.
Yeah. Well, that's why he's not winning the chat anymore. I mean, that's why Jay.
It's okay.
No, not even in the running anymore, man. You may have to give one of those back.
Just rename it
Rename it.
for me, and then I don't have to win it ever again.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's now that I give it to my brother, it's in his hands
it's
forever.
forever.
Man.
Yeah,
it's one of
it's
those
always going to be the Chad.
That's beautiful.
So I guess let's just. Should we talk about the other awards?
Yeah,
I think
quickly
MVP is an
most
interesting award. I mean, without a doubt, Lewis, even after missing 5 games after the Lewis rule, still dominated the league. I mean, can we not give it to him? I mean, that's not even a possibility. I think he deserves it.
So, just so everybody knows, he was the winner last year. He had 25 votes, followed by Zeth with 18, and then Darren with 17 votes. It was by far the category that got the most votes. If my calculations are right, that was 60 people had voted for MVP.
No, the vote was to put your first, second, and third choice for MVPs. And your first choice vote got 3 votes. Whoever you picked second got 2. Whoever you picked third got 1. So the 60 was really like 20. Although some people didn't follow directions, which is very
Other
difficult.
MVPs up for consideration, of course, Ryan and Ben.
I think
both
Ryan
having
Ben. I
great
mean, look at those
seasons. And then Nigel, just for his best quarterback play of the year. I mean, but he doesn't really match up with his past years.
Yeah,
at
I mean,
quarterback.
Nigel was the best, I think, best quarterback of the year, as
Yeah.
he is often. But the quarterback play in general was just down. I mean,
subpar.
Nigel's-
You're welcome.
But see, we talked about that a little bit when we prepped for this show, and I think the defenses got better.
Yeah. No, there was never a team this year where the coverage was so bad that a quarterback could wreak havoc.
it
The
felt,
average score was down.
the average scores were down, and it did, as a quarterback, I don't know if Gary and Nigel want to step in here, it did feel more difficult in terms of breaking through. I mean, sometimes you'd have drives that would be decent, but getting the ball over the goal line felt tougher. I don't know whether, again, that's just a sign of my declining skill set. But hey, maybe, like I said, I know Chris has wanted to play some quarterback. I know Ben can throw the ball nicely. I mean, we will continue to give other people opportunities. Although I'm going to hang on to that quarterback position as long as I can because Gary can attest. That's like as you get older, that's like the only way you can kind of stick around. But so the MVP
Well, Miles,
award,
yes, you had
Miles,
you
of
had one
course.
of the better seasons at quarterback, but like me, you didn't play a lot of quarterback throughout the year. But you had one of the better
Miles.
touchdown to
Oh, look at the
interception.
Miles
Oh,
picture.
that's a nice picture too.
Yeah,
You had
that's
one of the
impressive.
better touchdown to interception rates. You definitely did.
So Gary is saying, by the way, yeah, Miles had a good. Actually, we were looking because we were talking about when we were going over the show, talking about potential discussion of most improved, and you came up in the discussion, but I was like, you won that award last year, and last year you had an incredible year, and this year was a good year. I mean, you led the league again in interceptions caught per game. You had a decent.
I got his numbers right here.
He had 18 touchdowns thrown, 14 interceptions thrown. I think he had 18 interceptions on defense.
No, he had 17. Ben led the league. He had 17 interceptions, one behind Ben.
17.
I had 16.
Right.
17 interceptions. You had 9 touchdowns caught.
I see. This is what sucks because I want to keep bringing. Alexi is saying he won. He wants to be sure he won a. I guess I didn't put it in the spreadsheet because
he doesn't need it in the spreadsheet as long as it's in his heart.
What did Gary says? I mean, well, but that had. Oh, so he was saying I didn't put it in, but Gary was saying one of the things. I don't know if I clicked on the comment or not and brought it on screen, but Gary was saying so many rookies.
Yeah.
And then one new quarterback hurt connections, made the offense. Who was our new? You were our new quarterback. I assume he's talking about you.
Me, Miles, Chris. I mean,
you weren't new.
Miles played quarterback last year.
I played quarterback last year too.
Yeah, but you were more consistent this year. I mean, you were basically considered a quarterback. I mean, most weeks you played. And what were your stats? How did you end the year, Fred, as quarterback?
My year as quarterback, I threw 18 touchdowns and 15 interceptions.
Okay.
So it was pretty much on par with everybody else.
A little bit worse. But
well, I mean, Miles was 18 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Orrin was 19 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. So, yeah. I mean, you were 46 touchdowns, 33 interceptions.
Yeah, I'm looking at the TD interception ratio. Nigel had the best by far at 1.8, which is still.
And Gary was 30 and 28. So, like, we were all very tight.
It was a lot of, like you said, defenses were up, like sacks. And by the way, just my own last word on that whole discussion about best rookie interceptions versus sacks, which is kind of like what you have to get your arms around, whether you're going for Ben or Ryan. Because you only have 4 downs for a first down, a sack is basically like a turnover. I mean, a sack is huge because it puts the offense in such a hole that it basically kills a drive as much as an interception does, in my opinion. But I don't know which way I'm voting. I'm just saying it's an important play. Plus, just pressures, because sacks are obviously one thing, but Ryan had a tremendous amount of pressure.
Well, you have to remember, if that's true, if a sack is like an interception, Ben had 2.5 sacks.
What's that?
Ben had 2.5 sacks also to go along.
For or against?
I'm just throwing it out there. He was able to do it on the defensive line also a little bit.
Yeah. No, Ben didn't play line much, but when he did, he could be.
Well, there was one other stat that we don't keep, but Ryan batted down a lot of balls at the line.
Yes, I've been telling Darren for a couple of years now that should be a stat.
Who did that?
Ryan had at least between 5 and 10 batted balls at the line of scrimmage.
Oh. Yeah, that is. I mean, that's something that Mushi's always been really good at. I mean, he usually doesn't rush. He just sits there.
He just waits to try and bat it down and pick it off.
Bat it down, yeah. And so everyone's missing Jeff now. Brett's missing Jeff. Okay. Well, anyway, it's going to be in terms of the MVP race. I mean, look, this is, in my opinion, Lewis won last year.
I think he wins again this year.
I think it's pretty. He had a dominant performance. Top TD score, 24, almost 2 a game, almost 2 touchdowns a game he played. He had the top winning percentage. .76.
Yeah, the guy would never lose.
He had 5 defensive and special teams touchdowns, kickoff returns, interceptions, returned for touchdowns. He won 3 weekly MVPs. I mean, to me, I think it's tough to give it to anyone but Lewis.
But we all get a vote.
We all get a vote. And let's see what T says here. I get tips and picks. Wait, how many, well, no, it's the question, do you get sacks? Because you're on the line of a decent amount, T. How many sacks do you have, T?
1. He had 1 sack this year.
1 sacks, that's what I'm saying.
He only had 10 interceptions. Tips and picks, my ass. I had 4 interceptions.
Maybe he's talking about the stock market, in which case I need those tips and picks, man. So anyway, so that's the season in a nutshell.
Well, what about the
What do we
the
got?
Chad?
The most
The
improved.
Chad. And the most improved.
No, but I said,
the
like,
Chad's
we do-
open.
Okay.
No, but do we have time to discuss all this?
Well,
I
we
mean,
have so many.
Does anybody have anywhere to go?
But there's so many rookies. There's so many rookies in the league that they're not going to know what happened last year.
all right, quickly,
comparison to
because
what
the
happened this
reason,
year.
let's be honest, the reason they want to discuss that damn thing is because they both think they should win the award. So I don't know. I mean, like, you want to quickly go over, say who you think is going to be on the ballot.
That's okay.
No,
I think Gary's on the ballot. I think Jay's on the ballot. I think I'm on the ballot. And
who else? Didn't we discuss this? Is this it? 3 of them?
I think
Well,
that's it.
So the concept behind Gary, by the way, being, I think, a legitimate candidate. Not only did he have a good winning percentage, good quarterback, but the idea of the award is most improved and comeback player, kind of combined. Some years it's been more most improved. Some years it's been about coming back from an injury. Gary obviously had his massive, heart issue last year, surgery, and he was came back this year. I think played a really strong year. And was typical Gary, had some good days, some bad games, but was feisty and competitive throughout. And I think it was awesome to see him because, like I've said a million times, he's kind of my North Star in terms of trying to figure out how long I may have to be able to continue to play in this league. And if Gary's still kicking it at 10, I think he's 11 years older than me, then that's the kind of I'm hoping. I mean, with COVID, you learn every day is a blessing, and to put T's words into perspective, everything's God willing, man. I mean, you just don't have any control. But so Alexi is saying Gary is not my North Star. That's probably a reasonable thing.
We have to have Alexi on this next year.
Alexi is great. Alexi is so mean. He is so funny and mean. So funny. Yeah. But he's mean. I mean, he really does have a mean streak in him. It's pretty impressive. Gary thinks we're all drunk, but he spells it with a B. So
and believe it or not, Alexi was runner-up for the Chad last year.
How did that happen? I won the Chad too, which is phenomenal. That
I was going to say there's no way you're ever winning that again.
I think I'm a gentleman, Fred. I really.
Yeah.
Well, I know that about 2 years ago, I saw Brett right before the season started, and he said to me, "I'm really going to make an effort to win the Chad this year, or the Gentleman of the Year at the time." And I think it was the second half of the first game where he totally lost that.
Was it against me or was it against Zach? Brett has attacked me. He's attacked Zach. Brett has attacked most people in this league at one point or another.
He attacked one of my recruits, and the guy's never come back.
Who?
One of my guys who I had come out and play got into it with.
You're not naming names. Why? Who was it?
Well, as usual, we have to throw Mushi's so consistent that we sometimes forget, but he's always got to be thrown in. The guy counts for both teams, like without fail and without any favoritism. So he's got to be in that running for the Chad.
Who is this?
Mushi.
Mushi's always. I love Mushi. I mean, Mushi's he's got a little bit of a like he can't deal with some of the people in this league, but I love. I mean, that guy is one of the best guys, and his counting is underrated.
All I know is he's probably counting right now to this end.
Alexi in the comment section is is doing the moosh to the line, fellas. Okay, so that's the best improved comeback.
Yeah.
And then so quickly, and then we kind of been talking about the Chad all the way around. I mean, you got any of the rookies could win that. You have Jay. I think you're done, but I suppose you could you could win it for the fourth time. No, Fred's saying no. And then you have Mushi, and you have who else? Possible.
Ryan, Brent. I
said
mean,
the
we went
rookies.
upon them.
Yeah, the rookie.
I think it's a rookie that's getting it this year.
Yeah, it really should be a rookie because, like I said, they've rejuvenated the league, and they've just. I hope they keep that attitude because.
How about that kid Tyler who came 1 week and then got
The quarterback.
scared off by
The quarterback.
Wait, who? Oh, that's Tim. Was his
Tim.
right?
Yeah. Tim was a
Tim
guy.
Klein.
Tim Klein. Will recommended him to play. Said this is the best recreational quarterback I've ever played with, and I was like, cool. Last year we had no quarterback, so we could use him, but like the first game he came out and he was enjoying himself for a while, and he was like, oh, this is great. I love this. I was talking to him on the sideline, and then something happened. He was on the other team.
I think it was Brett. Was it Brett?
I know Marlo was.
Marlo. It was Marlo.
Yeah, whatever. They were like, he wasn't doing particularly well at quarterback, which is a tough in our league. I mean, good quarterbacks, people who can throw the ball well, that doesn't necessarily translate to success in our league. It takes a while before like good quarterbacks kind of understand what it takes in the FDL. And so it wasn't surprising that he was struggling a little bit. But I think at one point Marlo was like, I'm going to be quarterback. And he's like, well, I won 7 championships.
I won 7 two-hand touch championships.
Yeah, he was going to his flag football championship history, and then Marlo was like, who gives a fuck? And then he like stormed off and has never come back. So that was the Tim Klein story. Not up for the Chad.
No.
But neither is Marlo. So, okay, so what?
Did we finish the most improved?
Yeah.
Gary's the runaway winner?
No, I'm
No,
saying
I
either
mean-
of you. You guys had great years. I mean, I like I said, Fred stepped it up as quarterback. He lost all that weight and became much less effective on the line, but countered that by being a much more effective receiver. How many touchdowns did you end up catching this year?
12 touchdowns, 4 interceptions.
Okay, so I mean, he was a presence in that, and
Jay led the league in rushing and rushing touchdowns.
Jay.
True.
I mean, Jay definitely. I mean, you could just tell he came to play this year. His athleticism was better. Did you lose a little weight or no?
Yeah.
He got
it was,
stronger.
I think, from running.
Yeah, you got
And I've
stronger.
been working out a little bit.
Lost some weight, but
I think Jay's
neither
biggest-
one of you have good records. So again, I don't know. How
I think
that
Jay's biggest thing was his play calling. He became like a offensive coordinator genius in the huddle this year.
happened. Who is it?
Thanks, Freddie.
Jay. He called a lot of
Oh, Jay
interesting
was?
plays that
Yeah,
went for touchdowns. A lot of running plays too. Like
I wasn't on Jay's team a lot. I feel like because I don't remember him
No,
calling.
you and I didn't play all that much.
That's weird.
And when I'm in your huddle, I just know to shut up because if I start talking too much in your huddles, you lose your mind. And I got to keep your head on straight.
Oh, okay. So it's a game plan from you. Yeah, I don't remember you calling too many plays when I was in the huddle.
No, Nigel and I played probably more games than you and I did.
So anything else? to
Jay's
say
in there also had
Thank you,
13
Abraham.
sacks, which
Yeah,
was
no, Jay-
impressive.
Yeah,
13
Jay's,
sacks.
Jay's a strong dude. When you go up against, I say the same about Alexi. Like surprisingly strong. Like when they, like whoa.
To my 3.
Lexi's scary, yeah.
Alexi's good on the line.
And Akiva had a great underrated year on the defensive line. He's a guy you don't want to go up and block.
Yeah, I love Keith's attitude. Another guy who's like he's super crazy, but like such a nice guy. And like, yeah, I mean he has to figure out how to learn his body a little bit because I do think we've seen players like Tommy G. I don't know if you guys remember Tommy G, but
Yeah,
he was
Tommy G,
awesome.
of
But
course.
he would always get hurt. He
Yeah.
didn't finish a game. I think maybe half the time. And so Akiva, you got to learn to like get to know your body because the best thing is you got to be there. You got to be able to play. That's the key. And I don't know, guys. You want to make some closing comments about the season or about this? The fact that we had to end it prematurely, or
Jay,
just life in general.
I'll let you go first, Jay.
I mean, I just, obviously wish you all well. It's really disappointing that we, had to bring the season to a conclusion, but for obvious reasons. It's the one thing I look forward to between Labor Day and Passover, essentially, is the FDL.
Amanda.
And whatever I can do to add to that experience for everyone out there is my pleasure. And my whole family rallies around it, and they know it. Caston loves looking forward to it, analyzing things just the way we do. Goes back to the stats and the recap. So just hang in there, guys. Stay safe, stay well. I want to make sure we have a season next year.
Thank you.
And that's it for me.
Yeah, stay safe.
Wait, is this Allie or Amanda who's talking?
It's Amanda.
Oh, okay.
So we're good.
I figured it was because you have the smaller apartment. You can't get away. Okay.
So, just guys, all please stay safe. I look forward to seeing you opening day next year, if not sooner. All the love to the rookies. Thanks for rejuvenating this league. This league is great. And stay in shape. Don't eat too much. Drink a lot. And Lewis, get fat.
Except for Lewis. Lewis, ignore all that advice except for the stay safe.
Lewis, can't wait to see you out there, bud.
So thanks, guys, Fred and Jay. I mean, you guys, Jay with the recaps, you guys both with, building the teams and just being there. And, it's I do consider you co-commissioners, and I'm going to rely on you more and more, I'm sure, as the years go on. So thanks a lot for being part of this. And I want to thank everyone out there. Because it is very meaningful to me, the whole FDL. It's been something I've been doing for a long time, and I love doing it. It's an honor to do it. I hope, I've introduced some amount of pleasure in your guys' life through the FDL. And it's just a blessing to be able to get out there every week with you guys. And, having this whole thing happen was unfortunate, but it also certainly made me appreciate, what it is we have, and hopefully, like Jay said, and Fred said, I forget who said it, next year we'll be back to normal, and we'll be able to get out there and have another great season. So look out for the ballots. I'll send them out tomorrow. Send in your votes as quick as possible. We plan on maybe doing another follow-up video. If people liked it, we'll announce the award winners in like a short video, maybe next week or a couple weeks down the road.
By short, like an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, I expected this to be an hour, but that always happens. But I love you guys, and thanks. Be safe.
Love you guys. Thanks, Gary.
Hand
too,
sanitizer.
Gary.
Wash your
Great
hands.
job.
Social distance. And we'll see. Anyone want to leave a comment? Anyone? Last comment? A winning comment I can put online for next year? Alexi, you got anything funny we can end with? I mean, this
He
is
just
pretty
says Darren wants to learn Akiva's body.
good. I know.
All right, you're putting on the spot, Alexi, so come up with something good.
Look, he loves us.
Love you guys.
Oh, love you guys.
It's a good way to end it. All right, everyone. Great season. Till
Cheers.
next year.
Great
Peace.
job, guys. See ya.
Bye. Bye, Fred.
Bye.
Mm-hmm.